All right. Welcome to Pulse. Uh, Needing no introduction, I guess I've already got her on the screen here. My production staff is fired. It's me doing it by myself here. Welcome to Pulse, Amber Vittoria. Very special guest today. We've got a live mint drop on Magic Eden. And, well, here we are. How are you today?
Good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
This is very exciting. So on Pulse, we bring on creators and artists who are on the Polygon blockchain, and this is a fairly recent technology that is changing what it means to own digital assets, which is pretty exciting. And so, in order to kind of discuss that in a way that's easier for people to understand who may not know what all of this is, I think we'll start from the beginning. So, how did you get involved in digital blockchain related art production?
Yeah, so in 2017, I learned about Bitcoin and Ethereum. And when I learned about blockchain technology, I thought that it was going to be life changing for when we were a bit older, that like deeds and wills and car titles and all the paperwork that you do that you don't want to do will live on chain and it'd be really easy. Same thing with medical history, all of that stuff would be on chain and it would be life changing. So I was like, oh, let me invest a little bit of money into this. And then at that time, I started freelancing full time as an artist, working with different brands and editorial publications on a lot of commercial work. And then a few years into that, the pandemic happened. And in early 2021, my husband and a few of his friends learned about CryptoPunks. And he was like, hey, like there are these punks, they're cool collectibles. Also, like artists are selling their work on chain. And I was like, oh, kind of like crypto kitties, but artwork. And he was like, yeah, I guess. And I was like, oh, that's a really interesting functionality. So I started following a bunch of different artists that were selling their work on chain. I was like, let me give this a whirl. It's a pandemic. I have nothing to lose. And then I learned how expensive it was to mint on ETH. And I was like, ooh, I have a little bit of money to lose, I guess. But it was really exciting, but it was a bit cost prohibitive for me at the time just because, freelancer during the pandemic, commercial work was slow. So I minted a few pieces and they sold, which was fun. And that was like March 2021. And then it took a little bit of a beat because I was like, this is really expensive. It's like $500 to mint. And then if it doesn't sell, that's a lot of money. So I started to pay attention to what other artists were doing. So it's like, I can't be the only one to have this issue. And then I learned about what we call lazy minting. So like you would just post it and if it sells, then that's when the piece would be minted. So there was no financial cost. And that's when I was like, oh, okay, worst case scenario, if people don't resonate with my work, it was just, my time was put to waste, but like, that's fine. That's the beauty of being an artist and experimenting. And so, to my surprise, a lot of people resonated with my work. And I started to learn more intimately about contracts and contract ownership and then different chains and then, layer twos on ETH. And I just kind of fell into the magical spiral that is Web3. And the best part for me has been to be able to connect with people that love my work and resonate with my work, and people that where we both resonate with another artist's work, and to be able to collect artwork on chain and own it digitally to support artists without it having to take up all this physical space. I just moved to Los Angeles with my husband, but we used to live in a very small apartment in New York City. And I love artwork. I love collecting artwork and trading with different artists. And it got to be a lot of art. And I was like, oh, I have no room. And the beauty of collecting digitally is that that element gets to be removed. So you could collect artwork as much as you like and as much as you can afford and not have to worry about it getting damaged or lost or crumpled in the mail. So that all of those things are why I love this space so much.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
yeah, it sounds like going digital has really opened a lot of new doors and opportunities for different aspects of creating art, selling art, and engaging with the people who are collecting that too.
Yeah.
Um, so when you collect art, do you have a virtual gallery set up,
I
or like a metaverse space
I
where
don't.
you can go walk around and look at all
Look
the
at
work?
everything? No, I usually just go scroll through my wallet. I think it's a very similar behavior, and I know a lot of artists that do have, like, a gallery of the work they've collected, but my behavior has been similar to what I do with all of the photos on my phone. Like, I have photos from my childhood on my phone, which obviously I inputted, but then also photos from different vacations and photos of family and photos of inspiration. Every so often, if I'm like waiting in line or I'm just kind of feeling down, like I'll look through those and be, inspired and reinvigorated. And I do the same thing with the artwork that I've collected on chain. So I'll just kind of scroll through my wallet and I'll remember where I was when I collected that piece, or if I ever have met that artist, or if I haven't met that artist. So it kind of brings back a lot of really lovely memories. But I don't have a digital gallery where I walk through it yet. For me, it's still very similar to that of just, keeping imagery on my phone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that could be a lot of fun. I can
Yeah.
just imagine a virtual gallery with your work in it, being a
Yeah.
really dynamic environment to cruise around, to sort of cruise around in, and hop into some portals.
That's
I've
actually
done
a great idea.
a little bit of that. Yeah, get a little territory in the open metaverse. There's some architects out there that are making metaverse buildings with their cool architect skills. There's
That's
seeing a lot
awesome.
of different ways to sort of cross connect between different walks of life and different use cases, and that's part of what's exciting about having this all come to fruition, with digital ownership, digital displays, collecting, and it's really interesting to see new people get involved.
Yeah.
So, how have you seen your friends, family, collectors? How have you seen them react to this transition in your work?
Yeah.
Are you seeing people take to it? Are they following along? Is crypto a bridge too far? How has it been?
I'd say all of the above. So in the beginning, I think a lot of people were really hesitant. You would see articles on the news being like, crypto is a scam. And so that was a lot of education in the beginning, especially. It was like people like didn't understand why you would own something digitally or collect something digitally. And it's like, well, our lives are digital. I mean, look at the pandemic. Like we've all been the only reason why we could connect with each other really is because of the internet. And our work is done online. A lot of our socializing is done online. A lot of people meet each other now online. Like, of a lot of my friends, like my husband and I are like probably the very one of the few couples that met in person versus meeting online first. And so it's like it's only natural to eventually own and collect things online as well. And I think that was kind of the light bulb for a lot of friends and family that were like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. I think hesitations now for folks have been, having to set up a wallet and then having to connect that wallet to buy, a particular blockchain coins, whether that's ETH or Solana. And so that I think is still something where we have a lot of opportunity to make it as streamlined as possible. Where if someone wants to collect a piece of art on chain, they could just buy it with their credit card like they purchase anything else. So, but overall, I think the sentiment has changed from a little bit of fear and hesitation to more intrigue or completely like coming into this whole world of Web3. So it's been really exciting to see folks slowly warm up to the idea, and I think that we've seen those patterns happen before in history too, at least in art history, where people were very hesitant about photography. And now photography is a very well accepted and loved medium of art. So I think it's just human nature to be a little bit cautious and then be like, oh, yeah, this does make perfect sense. We should do this. So it's been fun to be a part of that journey.
Yeah, it's really interesting to put it in an art history context,
Yeah.
especially thinking about photography at the turn of the 20th century, and how people like Stieglitz were trying to artify their
Yeah.
photography by, engraving on the film, engraving on the prints. and putting filters and effects in a very archetypal early way, and then seeing the return to straight photography immediately after that period, and just seeing 100 years plus of how that worked. And obviously photography was huge in the 21st century. Things like Time Magazine and Life Magazine and National Geographic, and really served to expand our access to visual connections all over the world. So now we have lightning fast transactions, we have global internet, and we have blockchain composability. So you can create these works of art and attach them, mint them on the blockchain, and create a permanent record of this digital art. And we can share this the world around. Have you seen a lot of this global community forming around the art? Do you have collectors all over the world now?
Yeah, and that's the wild part to me because, a lot of the times the limitation with collecting my art physically was shipping it overseas. The increase of it getting damaged or lost goes up a lot. And, or people might just not want to pay for the shipping because it's cost prohibitive. And now the fact that we could collect, you know, digitally, it doesn't matter where we live. And that's been the biggest thing for me is like to be able to collect from people that, live all over the globe, but then also to have people that live all over the globe collect my work, I think has been really cool. And I think that's been another fantastic part about this space is just that you're not limited to like the local proximity of where you live.
Yeah, I remember buying editions in like the bin at the coffee shop.
Yeah.
And now I get pulled up and connect my wallet, and I mint. So I minted your launch that went live today.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, well, I had to, couldn't resist. So Labyrinth is the name of the collection, and this is a generative open edition.
Yeah.
And so, for those of you who don't know what that means, is that there is no limit to the number of these that can be created, and each one is sort of a dice roll on the shape and the colors and the form. So that's a really interesting process on its own. Is this your first generative collection?
So this is not. So I've collaborated with another generative artist in the past, Melissa Wiedericht. This is in collaboration with Paolo Seric. He goes by Patak on social media. And it's always really fun to collaborate with artists that think differently than I do, because the majority of my work is done by hand, whether by hand painted or by hand digitally. So it's always really nice to kind of partner up with an artist who creates artwork by code. So all of these pieces are generated with code inspired by a set of parameters that we both set together for the visual output.
It's a really fascinating combination of
Yeah.
technology and creation. So it's really interesting to see this. I think that the Labyrinth Mint is a very fine example of what this can be when people are working together to bridge the gap between creating in the traditional sense and what that means to somebody who can code it, and put the parameters and put weights on certain traits,
Yeah.
and see what's going to become of this if we set these terms for these options and roll the dice. And so I don't have that asset on this computer. I would like to share the one that I minted. So this mint is live starting today, and it's going to go for the next 2 days on magiceden.io. So if you are watching this, it is the 13th of December. And so the 14th and the 15th, it will be open as well. and you can go on to magiceden.io, and I believe without a wallet.
I think you do need a wallet.
Do you need a wallet? I
Yeah, to
saw
get
you can put in your email. Sometimes you can just put in your email.
yeah, and they get away with
Now
it. I think this one
we'll
is
get
you
there.
need a wallet, but you can use your credit card, which is really nice. You don't have to have it preloaded with Matic.
Yeah, so that's going to make it a lot easier for people to get involved. I know you've done a lot of your work on the Ethereum blockchain. Is that
Mhm.
correct?
That is correct.
All right. And so Polygon uses the Matic token. This is a different blockchain. And so I suppose any friends and family or followers and fans uh, would have had to go and create that Matic wallet option in their MetaMask, or get a Phantom wallet or something of that nature, and bridge or go and purchase separately the different crypto. But having that credit card payment option cuts out all those extra steps.
It does.
And I love seeing these things grow. um, Less friction, right? We had to figure out how and which and how many cryptos we needed. And I'm seeing this trajectory slide very quickly right up to where my mom will be able to start buying stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
and without having to do the research and find out all of these different complex details. And it reminds me a lot of the onset of email,
That's a
when
great comparison.
or instant messaging, things on the internet, social engagement on the internet, social media on the internet. This type of technological curve is really matching up to some of those mainstream adoption things like cell phones,
Yeah.
right? So these are things that I know you and I have seen come from nowhere, uh, and now really dominate commerce and social and technological landscapes all around us. And I think the pandemic definitely made it easier to focus on these digital connections. But it's really special to see, that you don't need a storage unit with climate control to take care of
That's true.
your stacks of canvases and prints. So now it all happens in the wallet and other connected environments. So what do you think is next for art on the blockchain?
I think that right now we're seeing a lot of artists like myself, bring our artwork to different blockchains and then minting it on there and then selling it or keeping it for ourselves. I think over time, as more artists just inherently start to use blockchain technology, we're already starting to see it where, like, if you have physical artwork, it could be like NFC chips. So then the artwork itself is tethered to a particular asset, kind of like as a certificate of authenticity. I think it'll be a lot easier to authenticate physical works with blockchain technology, and we're starting to see that come to fruition. I also think that a lot of artists will start to create artwork in response to the blockchain as kind of like a canvas. Um, I don't really know what that'll look like yet. I know some artists are starting to tinker with that, but similar to like printmaking being different than photography, being different than painting, being different than sculpture, I do think that there will be like a collection of art that the chain itself is the canvas. So that will be really fun to see. And then also things like you were mentioning earlier with like having like a digital gallery or a metaverse gallery. I think as augmented reality and then virtual reality become more popular with day to day use, I do think a lot of artwork will inherently have a lot of motion and depth to it, even though it's living digitally. Especially with AR, I mean, you see like the Ray-Ban Meta glasses that now can record. Eventually, those will be AR glasses, and you can walk into somebody's home and it'll just be all of their artwork in their home, but you're seeing it through a digital lens, and a lot of it can be animated or can move or could change. And I know that I say that to some people, and they're like, "Okay, sci-fi movie," but I do think it's true. We're all glued to our phones, and after a while, the tech neck is going to be tough. So I do think that having things that are digital that live within our physical world is inevitable. So it'll be fun to see how artists start to play with that and evolve their practice to that. And even artists that aren't even born yet, like the work that they're going to make when that becomes more commonplace. That's what I'm excited for.
Yeah, it seems very much less sci-fi now
Right?
with new
Yeah.
developments. I know early, VR headsets were huge, and then
They were like
uh,
helmets. Yeah.
at a certain point, the Google glasses came out, and everybody thought it was weird, and it didn't really take off. But being able to have that combination of seeing your surroundings and then having extra overlays there, I think that is a huge potential for commerce, advertising,
100%. Yeah.
everything. And it'll be interesting to see when those devices become a little bit more affordable, so old
That's
Brandalf can get a set and go
exactly,
driving
exactly.
around, and the local news stations can talk about somebody who got in an accident because they were on their VR, AR headset while they were driving.
At that point,
Uh,
cars will drive themselves, hopefully.
well, they're already starting to do that.
Yeah, and I do think too, because like I've noticed, and maybe this is just within my circle, a lot of folks like starting to get fatigue on social media, where they're like, oh, you're on your phone constantly, and you feel disconnected from the world around you. So I feel like the next step would be integrating the two, integrating our digital lives with our physical lives. So I feel like that kind of is inevitable, similar to like going from like the flip phone to like the sidekick phone to like a fully screen based phone like an iPhone. Like that felt inevitable. I feel like this will be what that evolution is, but I don't have a crystal ball. So I don't know. I could be completely wrong. But that's my hope, at least, is that we'll be able to integrate our digital and our physical lives a little bit more.
Well, I think we're doing that a little bit right now. I had never done interviews of this nature, and here we are, very in the flesh and real, but
Yeah,
also digitized. So we are these little screens on other people's screens,
exactly.
and at a certain level, we're inside the metaverse right now.
It's true.
Uh,
It is true.
yeah. Um, so I would like to invite everybody who is watching this broadcast to come and learn more about Amber and her work. So, Amber, how do we find you on X, which was formerly known as Twitter?
Yeah. So all my social handles are Amber underscore Vittoria, and my last name is spelled a little differently. It's Vittoria. It's Italian. So no C, but two T's. And yeah, I'm on X, I'm on Instagram, I'm on all of the things that can exist.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and type into the ticker here how to spell
Oh,
your last name for people and so
yeah.
that they can find you. So, what other collections do you have that anybody who's just finding out about you can go and look at? And where can we go to find your work?
Yeah. So, I mean, the best place outside of social media would be my website. Oh, that's so cute. I love it. Ambervittoria.com. And yeah, I have all of my work just on my website and then also in chronological order on my social media handles. And yeah, it's fun to kind of go back through my work over the years. It started off as more figurative, and then as I've gotten older, it's become more abstract, which is not unique. Most abstract artists started off making figurative artwork and realism. So it's been nice to kind of see the evolution of my work as I've grown as an artist.
That's a really interesting aspect
Yeah.
to being an art enjoyer. I know that when I watch a documentary about Pablo Picasso,
Yeah.
we'll take the low hanging fruit there, right? Everybody knows Picasso, and he very much was doing figurative work, and then slowly but surely went down the rabbit hole after having some close encounters with some African masks,
Yeah.
and the rest is history. So, do you think you'll get more conceptually simplistic, or do you have sort of a gut feeling about where you'll take your work next?
I think so. A lot of my work, I the biggest thing in my practice is play and experimentation. I think that's why I love being an artist. It's how I'm able to, communicate myself best. And right now I see it becoming more abstract, but every so often, like, I'll bring a hint of figurative or like a nod to, I guess a sentient being within my work. But it definitely lives within a more abstract world. And I think that's because a lot of the ideas behind my work really focus on, the elements of emotion and the emotional aspects of being a person and less the physical. And as younger, is more about the physical aspects of being a woman. And as I've gotten older and, speaking to my mental health and just kind of all of our lived experiences and all these emotions that we do have that go left unsaid. That's a lot of what goes into my work, especially this collection, Labyrinth. All the pieces aim to kind of be an illustration of like the path in life that we're on. And even though we're on it, we don't really know which way we're going. But usually, when you pause and look back at it, it ends up being a really beautiful composition. So things like that, to me, feel more appropriate in my work as abstract visuals versus realism. So right now, I'd say I'm going to continue on that trajectory, but who knows, something in my life could happen where I'll be like, nope, we're drawing apples. So it could be anything. And I really love that aspect of being an artist, is that leaving it open ended for, my future self to play and figure out.
Awesome. Yeah, I love the theme that you've written out for Labyrinth, and how it's about the changes in life. And it's interesting how uh, the different perspectives can be taken by different people
Yeah.
encountering the same piece. Um, I totally just lost track of my next question.
That's
Um,
okay. Story of my life. I'll be like mid sentence and then I'll be like, what was I saying?
yeah, yeah, that's why I'm like, why am I the guy doing the live streams? I've got the attention span of a butterfly,
That's
and
okay.
so shoot, what was it? Oh man, really dropping the ball, Brandalf.
No, it's okay. It could be
Um,
about, what was I touching on? Like mental health, abstraction, evolution into abstraction from figurative work, any of those things.
well, goodness gracious, what have I done? I'm freezing up on stage.
That's
Help, mom.
okay.
So with digital collectibles, with art, some people have seen some of these pictures, digital pictures, NFTs, have insane jumps in value. Have
Mhm.
you experienced any of that in NFTs?
Yeah.
Have you experienced that with your work?
Yeah, and I think that's something that a lot of artists struggle with, because we make our work and we sell our work, and then what it's valued after the fact, historically, it either like stays the same or slowly goes up in value, or not all artists, become widely well known, but you made a living as an artist and like you put artwork out into the world and informed culture, which is important. So to see it yo-yo has definitely been an interesting experience, because it's something that's out of your control. Obviously, all artists, we're all working our best to get our work out there and share our authentic selves, but it definitely has been interesting to see artwork that I've made, but also artwork that I've collected from other artists really yo-yo in value. And what I tell folks when they collect my work is like, please just collect it because you resonate with the work and you love the work and you can afford to collect the work. And that's what I do as a collector. I'm not reaching for, works that I can't afford using, rent money to buy them. It's something that I've saved as like spending money. Then like, oh, okay, I could afford, $25. I could afford $50 on this mint. And that's how I approach it. Obviously, I'm not here to tell people how to live their lives, but that to me has been the best and has kept me the most grounded. So if something that I did collect does skyrocket in value, I'm not like, ooh, let me sell it and try to find the next thing that skyrockets in value. It's like, oh, that's really great, but I bought it because I really love the artwork, so I'm going to hang on to it. And that's kind of helped me stay grounded throughout um, the chaos that has been the last few years within this space.
Quite a bit of chaos. In
Yeah.
fact, over the last couple of years, there's been a huge degree of volatile speculation surrounding digital assets, and maybe a disconnect between that trading action
Mm.
and what it means to buy art and collect art. And so, how has it been for you to see so much speculative buy and sell from an art perspective? Have you seen other artists do well with this? Is there a path to get these traders to appreciate collecting for collecting's sake?
I think that's tough. I think the what I've noticed is like on a lot of platforms, art and digital collectibles all live together. It's kind of like, I don't know, like the Real Real or like eBay, where you have like clothes and shoes and Pokemon cards and artwork all in the same place, and people are all going to that same place with different intentions. So as an artist, like a lot of artists that I've chatted with, it's like some people are going to speculate on your work. Even you could shout out into the void 1,000 times, like, please, please collect it because you want to collect it and keep it. uh, I can't control what happens after that. But some people, are gonna, they have their own, thoughts on the space and what they want to collect to try to flip as a trade, and like that's on them. So um, I have seen though a lot of folks that came into the space, just following people on Twitter for years, come in with the trader mindset, and then they see an artwork that they love, and they're like, oh, I can afford to collect that. Okay, I'm going to collect that and hold on to that because that means a lot to me or means a lot to my partner or to my child. And so that's been a really beautiful thing. But my kind of approach to it has been is like, just remember that we're all kind of in the mall, and some of us are buying t-shirts and some of us are buying shoes and some of us are buying furniture, and like that's all cool. So if I and in the beginning that was really hard to kind of like grasp, but it's just like we're all here for different reasons, and that's okay. And that's the beauty of the blockchain, I think, is that the blockchain is going to support so many different things. Some of those interest being art, some of those interests being collectibles, and sometimes they overlap and sometimes they don't. So that's my approach to it.
Yeah, eBay and the mall, those are really good
I
examples.
love them
You know,
all.
I think this is a great time of year to shine the light on the mall as an example.
For sure.
You go in and there's the stands in the middle where they're engraving people's names on a grain of rice for
It's
a
so
necklace, and then you've got
yeah.
backlit motion pictures of dolphins swimming
Dolphining. Yeah.
in a wave that doesn't move next to the running shoes store.
Yeah.
So um, definitely excited to get to mint your piece today,
Thank
and
you.
want to really highlight to everybody that this is a live mint for 2 days, and that you can find that pretty much as soon as you type in magiceden.io. It should be the first thing that pops up on the screen because today's the day. So if you would like to jump in and collect some work from Amber, the website is on the thing right now. I'm pretty sure I did it right.
You did. That's awesome. That's so cool. I love it.
It feels good to be this technologically savvy as I'm pushing 40.
I
But
love it.
as you guys have all seen, I've dropped the ball a few times today. But it's been such a pleasure to have you, Amber. Do you have any final messages for the whole world, maybe even the universe, if there is
Our
intelligent life out
multiverse.
there? They
Yeah.
could be on YouTube right now watching this. And what would you like them to know?
Just thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me and to collect a piece for me. It really means the world when, people connect with my work and collect it. It's really fulfilling and brings me a lot of joy. So thank you.
And thank you so much for coming. I really look forward to seeing where you go with this. I know that you are
Yeah.
one of the people that is just not going to stop creating and bringing new things into the world. And for that, we all owe you a debt of gratitude
Oh, thank
for
you.
changing the visual terms of the present and the future. and doing it on the cutting edge of technology. So it's really been a pleasure to have you here today, Amber, and hope you have a really great mint.
Thank
And
you.
I will be checking up with you on what used to be called Twitter, and hope to see some new friends there. If you guys have found this recording on YouTube and you've made it this far through the interview, thank you for joining. This has been Pulse. We're a live broadcast every Wednesday at 3 p.m. EST, where we will be featuring more awesome people and creators on the blockchain like Amber. And hope everybody has a great holiday season. And thank you for tuning in today. This will be all for now.